If I had a crystal ball and I could look into this crystal ball and tell you guys exactly where your business opportunities lie looking forward, what is working in the future, what is not working in the future, things that we should totally eliminate, things that we should totally start doing in order to see your business grow and flourish. Imagine how amazing that would be. Guys, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have the next best thing. We've recently just launched our opportunity analysis, and the entire premise of this exercise is to help you guys understand where the holes in your bucket currently lie. Why is that important? Because we don't want to start filling a bucket that's leaking. Guys, for a limited time only, I'm going to be offering this as a free giveaway. It's $350, but for you site shedders, you're going to get it for free. You need to head across to tradie.wiki/grow and enter the code SiteShed to get it for nothing. Off the back of it, book a time to have a chat and we'll see where it takes us. We're looking forward to helping you and seeing where your opportunities lie. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys. Tradie Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations and it's fantastic. Head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form and let's have a conversation.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello there, SiteShed listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the podcast for the final episode this year. So this is the point, I suppose, in the lead up to Christmas where many of us are in holiday mode and for the better part, pretty well deserved, I would imagine. It's been a rough trot for a lot of us, a lot of people all around the world. And I hope everything has panned out for you for the better. And I hope looking forward, you've got a pretty strong and positive outlook. So the next couple of episodes are going to be a little bit about strategy and some of the lessons that I've learned and things that you can apply, some practical takeaways. So being that we're in the end of this fiscal year and we're, I suppose, wrapping things up here, I thought it's a fitting time to do a bit of a year in review and talk to some of those things that I've learned and I've been able to implement over the course of the last 12 months or so, just so, if nothing else, so that I can cast a bit of vision as to the power of what the power of creating a plan actually is. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking specifically to goal setting. I encourage you to check that out because although I've covered this in the past, I haven't covered it the way that I do it now. And I can tell you right now, it's been a chalk and cheese improvement over the last 12 months. But in truth, it's been a 10-year journey in business to sort of get it to where it is right now. So I don't want you to think this is something that I just waved a magic wand and miraculously it happened. It takes time and it takes effort and it's frustrating and it's stressful and it's annoying and it's business. So the beginning of this year, I set a bit of a goal to optimize everything. I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to have a better business. I wanted to increase our turnover, increase our profits. I had some goals on the family side of things. I just wanted to basically improve everything. And it came from the 1% principle, which ironically I actually learned through Arnold Schwarzenegger in a book I read of his. But he's got this, I suppose, mantra where if you could just improve 1% with everything you do across the board, then the effects aren't multiplying, they're compounding. And I really got caught up on this whole theory of compounding and how, it's the small things that, although you do a whole bunch of small things consistently improved, the results really do like a multiplication effect, So that was a goal for me. I wanted to optimize everything. And so I went and did this program at the beginning of the year called 75 Hard, which is essentially like he calls it a mental toughness program, which to be fair sounds like a bit of a wank, but essentially it's really designed, if anything, if nothing else, to show you that within 75 days you can achieve a lot. And that's really focused on sort of the health side, like physical appearance, activity, that kind of thing. And in order to achieve those things, you've got to have and develop a certain level of mental toughness and a certain level of diligence and be able to stick to your guns. I really enjoyed doing that program. I hadn't heard of it before. A friend popped something on Facebook, and I immediately just thought I need a goal. This was maybe the 5th of January, and I started on the 6th, not knowing what it was, never heard of this program or anything, and I didn't really think about it. And in truth, since then I've kind of realised that that's probably played to my advantage, because I didn't think about it and I didn't go look in my calendar as to what I've got coming up in the next 75 days. I just did it. And I missed a load of things. I missed my 40th birthday. I missed, one of the things because you're not allowed to drink during this time. So it was, 75 days with no drinking, no training twice a day for 45 minutes. One of them has to be outside. So you're in the rain or the sun or whatever it is. You got to read every day. You've got to drink a certain amount of water every day. You got to there's a whole bunch of things you got to do, right? So anyway, without looking at the calendar, it went right through my birthday. It went right through a laser eye operation. That was probably the worst part. It went through my daughter's birthday, a whole other bunch of things. But the point is, I suppose, like if I had waited for the right time, it never would have come. So since then, I've learned, just don't look at the calendar. If you want to do something, just commit and do it, and commit once. And if you make that decision once, you shouldn't have to go back and do it over and over again. So that sort of led me into I don't know if that was it specifically, because I kind of had a lot of these other things planned out of what I wanted to do before I did that program, but it certainly did bring a lot of belief, that I can achieve these things into what I was doing. And one of those things was planning and strategy, because I wanted to optimize everything. A huge part of that was the business, and I wanted to improve our services. I wanted to improve our communications. I wanted to improve our team. I wanted to improve just everything within the business, basically just flip it on its head. And that took a lot of planning and strategy. So I had to clearly define what those goals and targets were. And then once I had those goals clearly defined and what those targets were, it sort of enabled me to reverse engineer it. Of course, I didn't really have a foolproof framework of how I was going to do that, but that led me to finding the right frameworks. So I read a lot of books. I spoke to a lot of people, numerous coaches, all this kind of stuff, which could help me formulate or take this plan, this strategy that I had, and put it into a cadence or into a format in which I was able to follow it, able to deploy it within my life and within my, my business. It made me realize that my role in my business had to change. And some of you guys may have run into this realization already. Some of you perhaps not, but trust me, you will. And as your business grows, your role within your business will certainly change and adapt as well. So even my role in the business where it is today as to what it's going to be next year is going to be significantly different. And the framework, I suppose, that I've been applying to that is understanding, first of all, where my time is best spent within my own business. And you guys need to sit down and really think seriously about this, because chances are you're spending a lot of time doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing within your own organization. And of course, things have to be done at the right time, within your business that can, so the business can afford things and so on and so forth. But the point is, if you don't have a clear understanding of those things, of what those things are that you are doing in your business, it's extremely hard for you to ever get anyone else to step in and fill those positions for you. So I went all in on systems and all in on processes, and it led me down a number of different avenues. And because I had this goal, or had some goals around growing the team and removing myself from parts of my current business, largely customer support and development, so project-based work, because if you guys that don't know, I run a digital agency called Tradie Web Guys. And I knew that I had to get myself out of customer support and out of development so that I could focus on branding first of all, focus on this stuff. So this is like, as my coach says, this is navel gazing. It's like looking on the inside. And I've spent a solid year building foundations. And that at a glance would look like a waste of time. But what we'll get to in the end here of this podcast is some of the results that have come as a result of that. So I really encourage you to don't disregard the power of strategy and don't rush it either, because so often we just do things that are so like we live in this, information age where everything's available at our fingertips and we expect answers, straight away. But the reality is some of these things take time, and the more you rush them, the more trouble you run into. Take, for example, recruitment. So first thing we're going to talk about here is I knew that after I designed these goals and these targets for the business, I knew that I had to get people in the right places for that to become a reality. So what did that look like? Because I knew currently that we had a team, of course, already, but were the people within that team going to be the right people to take the business to where it needs to go? And I knew it wasn't. And I knew as well I had to grow a lot as well for that to happen. So I had to be pretty have an honest conversation with myself around, well, who in this team is going to be right for this journey and who isn't. And for the better part, once, and I'm not going to so much talk about this in this episode, but I'll certainly talk about it in the next episode. What part of that goal setting journey that we're on now, and this thing that I've been able to formulate through reading all these books and setting up all these amazing processes and things like that within the business, I've been able to build out a bit of a model where we involve our team members within that process so that they're buying into it. Anyway, bit of a cliffhanger for you on that one. Stay tuned for the next episode where you learn a bit more about that. So for the recruitment process, I knew I had to get rid of some staff. I knew I had to bring in some more staff. But the problem was I was terrible at recruiting. I had a really bad process around it. I'd had probably a 50-50 track record with hiring in the past, where I'd hired some good people, some people that just didn't really fit the dynamic of the business, and I had to let them go. But the reality of the entire situation was, for the better part, the reason those roles and positions didn't work out was because I dropped the ball both in the recruitment stage, in the onboarding stage, and in the ongoing retention stage of that team member's journey. So I had to learn these things, and I went and I set out to do it. And I read loads and loads of books on team building and leading team members and listened to podcasts and all this kind of thing. And it led me to eventually running into that whole, what's that phrase, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. I ran into by chance, a business coach who I sort of had a quick run through with him, telling him what I wanted to do. And he's like, these are the things we can help you with. And so I engaged him, and we worked together. We built out this amazing recruitment process, and we rolled it out. And I'm a really big advocate of ready, fire, aim. And I know I said before I don't like to rush things, and that's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about is it's extremely hard for you to gauge progress on any one thing if you haven't got something to mold or manipulate. And so you see this, happen all the time. Like, people go into this perfection paralysis. They're trying to attain something that will never be perfect. Like, take a website, for example. It will never be perfect. There's always things you can do to improve and optimize. So the sooner you can get it live, the sooner you can get actual real life feedback about, how we can improve this to make a positive difference. So we went down this process where we started, and it's an ongoing thing. I won't lie. Like, I was only yesterday tweaking this again, so that these two new team members that I brought on only today, had a better onboarding experience. And it's now a fantastic onboarding experience, but it's taken a lot of time to build that out. In truth, it's taken 10 years to formulate that, 6 months to create, but 10 years to sort of formulate, So I knew that once we sort of had the foundations set, that there was going to be a really fast uptake with things like taking on products and things like that. The problem, I suppose, the issue and the concern that I would have had previously, that I did have, not that I would have had, I definitely had, was I didn't really want any more work because I was concerned about delivering on the work. Like, we didn't have the team in place. And we got to a point where I was like, the team is set and built now, and it's ready to scale. And all of our services and everything are just infinitely scalable. We've got this amazing culture, all this, like, everything's just as good as it's ever been. And I knew that at that point, I wouldn't have any problems then bringing people in so that we could really start blowing it apart. But I didn't go the other way. And I think a lot of people do go the other way. And I've done it myself, where you try and get real busy and you try and win more and more work without having the processes in place. And it just turns into an impending disaster. So I encourage you guys that are listening or watching or listening to this or watching this, think about the dramas that would potentially unfold if all of a sudden your workload doubled, or even if it increased by 50%. Like, think about what that might look like from your end, and then think, okay, well, that gives you a good starting point on what you could do in terms of building out the team, building out the processes, building out the structures and whatever, so that you could facilitate that sort of growth. So now we're at the point where we can facilitate growth, and we've had insane growth as a result of having all of the foundational stuff set first. So recruitment was one thing. We knew that had to happen, and I was adamant about recruiting leaders because, especially in the early stages, we wanted people that could lead departments, lead teams, train other teams, train other team members, so on and so forth. So we had built out this great hierarchy, or this organizational structure where people really knew where they stood and what their roles were, and we clearly defined their roles and responsibilities. And that was the other thing. We made sure, as part of this recruitment process, I wanted to make sure that every single person came into my company knew definitively what their role in the company was and what they're responsible for doing. So we adopted this process, it's been redressed a number of times. We call it scorecards, which came from a book from a guy called Dr. Jeff Smart called Who. I encourage you to check that out. It's amazing. I would also encourage you to read Gino Wickman's book, Traction. And there's a book called Measure What Matters by John Doerr, Doerr. All fantastic books which speak a lot to setting specific outcomes and specific deliverables, and then communicating that in a way so that team members understand what it is they're supposed to be doing. That was a really, really solid lesson for us, and it's been really powerful ever since. And then since working with my coach, we've been able to formulate this great framework where we've been able to roll this out with our staff and our team members and myself personally, and it's just made a formidable change. The other thing I needed to do was equip the team for success, which meant I needed to get better. And we were never bad at it, but we could always be better, and we still can be better with project management related things. So our checklists, our standard operating procedures, our policies. Like, I knew that if I had people coming into this organization, I wanted to make sure that they were getting the same onboarding experience and they had access to the same resources that everyone has to best equip them for succeeding within that role. So I had to spend a lot of time building out project management, and it's not, in truth, the kind of thing that I found I could get someone else to do. Like, parts of it they could, but there were certain things that I just had to spend the time doing. And the funny thing is, and this ties into that whole conversation around, your role in your business changing. Like, I spent a lot of time doing that. And I spent a lot of time equipping the team to know how to do it themselves, so I haven't got to do it again. And so while I was building that out, I was also replacing myself in doing that. And now the team are kind of taking over, and they're doing a really good job of doing it themselves. But you need to have policies in place, and you need to have procedures, and you need to have checklists, because they need to know these things aren't there to remove creativity from team members. They're there to improve creativity. Like, you want to be able to let them do what they can do, but just give them the boundaries to which they can operate within. So having these things in place is really important. Now, I know a lot of you be sitting there listening to this saying, I haven't got the time for this. And that's fine. Like, this isn't a matter of you having the time for it. Like, if you want the result, you got to do the thing. And I've tried it every other way. And you no doubt would have heard this from many other people, not just me. Like, I just don't know how else you could do it. You've just got to find the time to do it. And you've got to, bit by bit, roll these things out. And some of these things you can't hand off. Like, some of them you've just got to spend the time to do. And in truth, they're kind of the things, once you get stuck into them, it's addictive, because you can see you can see the light at the end of the tunnel with a lot of these things, and it's inspiring, I wanted to improve our service offering. So we wanted to refine and optimize our products and our solutions, and improve our processes, and improve the results they dictate, and all these kind of things. So we had radical change within the business, and a lot of that was from a team perspective. We got rid of all of our contractors, and every single one of our team members now is full-time employed. We brought everyone in-house. So we're a 100% in-house marketing agency now, which is which is crazy. And that's like growing formidably in the last 6 weeks. We've employed 8 full-time team members. Like that's a lot of full-time team members in a short period of time. And you cannot do that without process. You can't do that without having good onboarding, without them clearly knowing what their roles and responsibilities are, without them having good management and good leaders that can guide them and can, coach them and train them and so on and so forth. And that in truth will probably ripple all the way through next year. Like it will be the same sort of growth, maybe not in that period of time, but maybe, I don't even know. So the point being, we've set it up for scale. So we had to put the work in initially to make sure that it could grow like that cleanly. And in truth, this recruitment process has been amazing because I've taken it from a really sloppy, shitty, disorganized process, which took a day, 2 days more to onboard someone. We've dialed it in now. It literally takes about an hour. And it's better than anything. They have so many resources. They're so well equipped. They've got to do all these things. It's just incredible, And the feedback from every one of our team members is this is just the most amazing onboarding experience ever because they've just got everything they need. We're just equipping them for success. Part of the process is we recruit the right people and we put them through a lot of steps before we even speak to them. In truth, like in the recruitment process, like we make them jump through hoops because we want to filter the right ones out. And so we know that when we get people to the final stages of our recruitment, they're highly qualified candidates for these positions. And so the conversations are easy. And then, it's our responsibility to make sure they're onboarded properly. And so in improving our service offering, it involved bringing the right team members in that can deliver on those things. We've had amazing feedback on that. It's been really, really fantastic. So what does this all look like? Well, I mean, as I said, we're 100% in-house marketing agency now. We've had 8 full-time team members in 8 weeks. Our marketing products have never been better. And for the first time in a long time, I'm actually so happy with, our programs, like our SEO programs, our Google Ads management is amazing. We're moving into social. We've got this incredible new CRM software, which we're rolling out 2022. It's the most incredible sales software I've ever seen, honestly. And it's just been customized for tradies. It's been incredible. So we're rolling that out. Basically, it's going to be a huge thing for the industry. We're really looking forward to getting that out there. We've got some incredible leadership in the business now. Like the leaders are in the right places. We've got people in the right places. And we've also got team members, within the organization that want to progress into leadership positions, which is great. So we're providing for them a career path. We're providing them a hierarchy of where they could potentially, where they could be. The team loves the clarity. They love the roles and they love the cadence. And as part of me clearly communicating with them, setting that framework up, we implemented this awesome meeting cadence where we've got, weekly or daily check-ins. We've got weekly meetings. We've got bi-weekly one-on-one meetings with their leaders. We've got quarterly flight plan meetings. We've got all these annual meetings and all this kind of stuff. Like we have a clearly defined meeting policy. The team is aware of it when they come on board. They know what everything is. They know how to do everything. They know how to access their calendars. They know how to do everything. Like they just know, and they love it because there's never a situation where people don't know what they need to be doing. And because we're so on top of it, we can be agile with making changes. And so, in years past, I'd been in situations where I would sit down at the beginning of the year, set some goals, and then go back and revisit them after a year and wonder why I didn't hit them because I didn't revisit them enough. Like I wasn't, and even in truth, revisiting them monthly is not enough because you just the more frequently you visit them, the easier it is for you to make small shifts. And like a tiny little shift here can potentially have a huge outcome. It might be adding one step to a follow-up process, or it might be, making one phone call, in your sales pipeline or whatever it is, like a tiny little thing, which could have a huge factor, on the business at the end of the year. So be agile, address these things regularly and make sure that you've got like those channels set up so that you are communicating with the right people at the right time on the right things. Okay. The recruitment process has been fantastic for us. And it's at the point now, I suppose, as I mentioned, where, and I know because the feedback we get from people that we're employing is that this is the best process they've ever seen, which I love. So, looking forward, the focus for me is not going to be on this stuff because it's not that it's finished, but it's now at a level where the team can optimize and improve it, and I can step in every now and then if we want to make some changes, and we can do that because again we're being agile. But the focus for me looking forward is going to be more okay. Well, now we're going to be building it to scale. So now we're going to be looking forward on sales, increasing revenue, increasing our client base, increasing our marketing footprint, so on and so forth. So I had to get myself out of the support side of the business and out of the development side of the business so that I could focus on these things. And there'd be things that you would be able to relate to in this right now within your own business, which may not be that, but it might be, I shouldn't be doing the estimating. I shouldn't be doing the sales. I shouldn't be doing the marketing. I shouldn't be doing my accounts. There are things there that are taking up your time, which are holding you back from doing things on the strategic side or whatever it might be. And in truth, like now this is done to a degree. Next year there's a whole bunch of other things that I'll be focusing on. And I know exactly what they are as well. Like it's building out that sales department. It's recruiting sales teams and this whole other sort of part of the business which needs to be developed and improved. And it's kind of exciting. But the point is I had to remove myself from doing those other things so that I could focus on this. We've got some big goals for next year. We want to double our turnover. We want to double our net profit. I want to be completely out of support and development entirely. I'm a little bit still in them, but I want to get out of them completely so I can focus on these other things, content, more of the podcast related stuff, get back into our Facebook community and, add more value in there, so on and so forth. So I suppose like to summarize everything, give you a bit of recommendations if I can. At the end of the year, we've got a bit of time. We're sitting down, we're typically cruising a little bit, which is great. And it's a really good time to focus on some strategy side for your business. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Like honestly, the bigger picture stuff, you could probably knock it out in half an hour if you sit down with a pen and a pad and, a cold beer or whatever. Like you just need to clearly decide what it is you want and what that looks like. And in the next episode, I'm going to talk to you about how you can break that down and turn those bigger picture wants, goals, whatever it is, how you can break them down and actually make them achievable, because they are achievable. I can tell you now, if you've got the vision and you've got the right framework, you can literally do anything you want within your business. And it's a real revelation when you look at it like that and you've actually been there and done it, and you can see that these things really do work if you just give it the time that it deserves. So I suppose in closing, Merry Christmas to all you guys. I hope you have a lovely, safe holiday. I hope you relax. Again, I know it's been a bit of a rough couple of years for a lot of people out there. But just know the grass is greener, like looking through the other side. If you can apply some of these things that I'm talking to you about, you'll be amazed where you'd be sitting this time next year. And I know there's probably a handful of people out there that are going to do this, but I really encourage you guys to spend some time doing it because it's really, really powerful. Now, obviously, again, I didn't know how to do a lot of this stuff when I started. So I went and found people and I went and found books and all that kind of stuff that could help me do it. So you do have to kind of want to become a student. Fair enough. I'm probably preaching to the choir here because you're listening to this or you're watching this podcast. So you already know that you already want to learn. But the point is, you can't get to where you want to go knowing what you know now. There are things you need to learn. There are habits you need to improve. There are things that have to happen in order for this to become a reality. So that, I'm afraid, is on you. And that's something that, I can't help you with. You got to want to make that decision. But I hope that you do because it's very rewarding. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year's. We'll see you in 2022. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.